Good afternoon. My name is Platt. I'm the Senior Vice President of Franchising for Old Pan. We franchise cafe bakeries, both domestic in the domestic United States and internationally. Today I was going to give you a short introduction about Old Pan, as well as a little bit about myself, talk about international development and what to look for. Our experience in India. We currently have 10 locations. We're going to have 20 more locations this year, and in 2 years we should be up to about 70 locations. We're going to talk a little bit about the Indian market, at least from my perspective and what we've learned over the last couple of years. Talk about our pre-opening process and then the post-opening, and then, for me to use some takeaways and the things that we've learned as we've gone down this road with folks in India. Considering you've already heard about me, the only thing I would add is in working with India, one of the things that's been a great advantage is putting your experts against the business that you're in. There's no doubt if I didn't have the force of the people working behind me here in Boston, in our case, which included our executive chef that was from Kerala, India, so certainly had an understanding of the palate of India, as well as ops people from Bangalore, India. It would have been much more difficult. My own experience in the restaurant industry, both in Canada, the United States, and abroad, certainly added a lot to the influence of understanding the relationship building opportunities, as well as the actual productive meetings that we had to have to get us off on the right foot. I think it was very, very important. I think you'd make a mistake if you didn't put your best people against going into India. So that would be some advice that I would give you. Again, we've had international experience in Thailand, the Middle East, South Korea, and now India. So we've been around for a little bit, licensing and operating for over 15 years internationally. A little bit about Old Pan. Old Pan started in Boston, Massachusetts in 1978. Our platform is quality, fresh, distinctive, nutritional food in a quick serve environment. Whether you think QSR or fast casual, it doesn't matter. Our guest looks at us the same way. Lots of hospitality in a good, comfortable environment. We have over 318 points of distribution in 20 states and 5 foreign countries. And when you look at our competitive advantage, we operate across multiple real estate opportunities, hospitals, office buildings, transportation centers, malls, high streets, lots of versatility. And this is one of the reasons we've had a modicum of success when we've gone out and worked internationally. Broad menu offering. We have soups, sandwiches, baked goods, coffee, other beverages, and that helps when you go into these trade channels because of the frequency of the guest visit. Marketplace service system. Our cafes on average serve over 1,000 transactions a day. And you have to be set up right to be able to do that kind of volume. High hospitality and attractive or soft urban design and high breakfast counts, which is conducive again to be in these really big urban environments. Talking about international development, what we think you should look for. Before we go into a country, we look at some very specific things before we kind of put our foot in the water. Clearly stability, politically, economically, and socially. A solid judiciary and a system of law. We franchise. We are giving up intellectual property. So it's very important that the system we go to is going to enforce the laws that will protect our brand. Compatible business agreements with the U.S. You heard a lot of it today, and it was like reliving the negotiation procedure we had with our franchisee in India on all levels, not just on the taxation level, but on the legal level, in the negotiation level, in the culture level. So a lot of things you heard today, I would certainly reinforce. They're very, very true. You have to have the ability to do business in the country. So there has to be the ability to procure what it is you need to operate. Logistics is very important, and for all of you that already know this, is a real challenge in India. Logistics, especially between countries or cities that are more than a couple hundred miles or 150 kilometers away, can be an issue. Workforce, and not that there isn't a lot of workforce, but the workforce needs to be trained. And that takes time and it takes effort. And then finally, infrastructure. In India, you really have to choose your cities well so that you can hit the road running. We really be careful that we don't make mistakes, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Development compatibility. When you think of how we operate here in the United States, we operate in New York, in places like the Empire State Building, Rock Center. We operate in LaGuardia Airport, JFK International Airport. We operate at East Rapid. These are different real estate opportunities. We call them trade channels. When we look to operate internationally, we are very much looking for those same trade channels, with those same amounts of pedestrian traffic, with those same amounts of insulated environment, and the ability to leverage what we do and leverage what the brand's all about. I want to give you, that's fine. I want to give you some idea of what our experience was like coming to India, and our introduction and how we supported our partner. My first trip to India was in 2006, and I've gone about once a quarter ever since. So I go back all the time, and frankly, I enjoy it thoroughly. But how we got into India was a couple of different things. Our licensee in Thailand is a national Indian origin. And early on in our relationship, he approached me about, would you ever consider doing business in India? I had an opportunity to go to India in the fall of 06, and I combined a vacation with business. And during that vacation, I had a chance to see about 9 cities in India. And I ended up in Mumbai where we had a business meeting, and that was the kickoff of what would it look like to open up a home pan in India. It was in that meeting that this gentleman, we agreed that we'd look forward and see about choosing potential partners. From our perspective, we have a clear profile of the type of partner that we're looking for. Very specifically, besides people that have resources, and not only monetarily, but people resources and experience, we look for somebody that's already been in the licensing business, somebody that's been in the food and hospitality business, has similar business verticals that can help us in what we're trying to do, and then wants a brand that they will make a material part of their business. Fortunately, we were lucky. We ended up with a company that was a $3 billion company, was already in the grocery business, understood real estate, logistics, human resources, and everything that it's tied to. So we started out very broad. We started out with 10 potential partners, got it down to 3 potential partners, and then we chose a partner. We went through the approval process, and to give you an idea, the first meeting I had was in the fall of 06. We signed the agreement with this company in the summer of 08. And then we moved forward with regards to the research process, figured out procurement, logistics, brand research, quantitative and qualitative, menu, culture, and we opened our first location in September of 09. So if you think, the one thing you want to do when you go to India is it takes patience. You have to build relationships. And, it's kind of ironic because, as you can imagine, you're constantly negotiating. And in my case, I was negotiating with our Indian partners that we have today, and I was negotiating with my own company. My own company didn't understand what was going on in India. So in as much as I'm trying to convince people in India that this is a good idea, I'm trying to convince people in Boston that this is a good idea. Now, the one thing you should know is, in our case, licensing is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We look at return on investment in 5-year increments. At the 5-year mark, we should be able to break even, and in 10 years, we should be making money. But again, it's not an overnight success type thing. Our licensee also, we have what we call an in-country solution. We give up all our knowledge to build everything from gestation to fruition when it comes to logistics, procurement, manufacturing, FF&E, training, and everything you can think of is built to meet the Indian market. Primarily to do that so that in India we have an economic model on the ground that'll be successful. So as you all know, and I'm sure you've all heard of India's purchasing power parity, and you're all aware of how people have gone through different iterations of figuring out what Indians will buy and how much they'll pay to buy. And the best example I can give you is in fast-moving consumer goods. Things as simple as soap, shampoo, toothpaste, shaving cream. If you look at the experience people that have come before us have gone through with regards to figuring out what Indians are all about in the sense of what they'll buy, how much they'll pay, the size they do it, how they extend product, you get an idea of how we look at the business from a retail perspective. One of the keys that we looked at